All right, so this video is talking about how to find the length, or as we said in the first video, that is called the magnitude of the vector. Here you can see that notation I talked about. They used a bold V, but if we were handwriting it, it would be a V with an arrow on top. And it's asking us to find the magnitude of vector V, which we looked at in the last video. So what I'm gonna do is actually kind of have what we did in the last video in front of us. As we're finding the magnitude. So as a reminder, this was the initial and terminal point that it's asking me to do. And then this was what we put in component form. So we're finding the magnitude now. And finding the magnitude, it's a lot like finding the length of the hypotenuse if you're thinking about a right triangle. Finding the magnitude can be done from the component form or from just plotting the initial and terminal. And I'm just going to show you it's the same thing, right? It's the same vector. So if you happen to already be in component form and you wanted to find the magnitude, you would just simply be thinking about making that reference triangle, drawing the vector, to the x-axis and thinking about it as a right triangle. So this would be 2. This would also be 2. And I'm finding the length, so I'm finding the hypotenuse, right? So 2 squared plus 2 squared is 4. And so the length of it is 8. I can't add today. So the length is the square root of 8 or 2 root 2. So what we would say is the magnitude of vector V is 2 root 2. The reason I didn't include like the negative and stuff is because if we're talking about length, where it's at doesn't matter. We don't have to think about did it go left or right or up or down. If we're finding the magnitude, the length, this will always be a positive number. You can do the same thing over here, right? It's just talking about making a right triangle, and the distance from here to here is still 2, right? It's the same vector. The distance from here to here is 2. It's the same math, 2 squared plus 2 squared. So it doesn't matter which form you're looking at. It's still going to be finding basically Pythagorean theorem to find the length. The formula that they write up here at the top is actually the distance formula or Pythagorean theorem. Okay, the distance formula and Pythagorean theorem, one's a derivative of the other. So I think it's easier for most of us to use Pythagorean theorem. If you want to use the distance formula, it's just saying, just subtract your x's and square plus subtract your y's and squared, square root.